The traditional text for people in anguish is Psalms, is the book of Psalms. And there are many Psalms, and not all of them are immediately useful. And I think one really needs to search for oneself. One needs to start reading Psalms, as people always have done, and gather for oneself a small anthology of the ones that really speak to one. And they'll be different for each person. And use those Psalms. My grandmother, maybe this is one of the formative stories of my life. My grandmother lived with us in her old age. And she used to, her eyes failed. And she was a great reader in her time, but her eyes failed. And she would lie in bed and mutter Psalms to herself. She simply knew them by heart. And she said to me, I was a young girl at the time, and she said to me, if there was one thing I can persuade you to do is to learn Psalms by heart. And I didn't do it. I didn't do it the way that one doesn't do the things one ought to do. But the older I get, the more I realize how important it is. That when I've been in situations of stress and difficulty, the one or two Psalms that I know by heart have really helped me. I've simply said the words, and the words themselves, they carry meaning, but they also carry, again, that murmur. It's that sense of something that's beyond conscious meaning. That has to do with the sound of the words and the associations of the words. It's a source of comfort. It's a worthwhile investment, I think, to invest in learning, in not only collecting some Psalms, but actually learning them by heart. Well, the one that's most obvious is Ashrei Yoshvei Beitecha. I don't even know what number that is, because I don't think in terms of numbers. Happy are those who dwell in your house. It's alphabetical, so it's easy to remember. And it simply gives one a feeling of being situated in a world in which God is a living force, and that one is given a language in which to express what one might otherwise feel a little shy about talking about. But there is the language. It's the very confident language of King David, according to tradition. And we can borrow that language. We can borrow, even if we're not so confident, we can borrow that language, and it acts like an infusion. To me, it acts like a blood infusion. Suddenly, one feels, I've had this experience many times with that particular psalm, that again, I'm attached. Where I had been wobbling, I'm reattached to something. I don't know if the word is secure. It's really much stronger than secure. It's a sense of having come from somewhere and going somewhere, which has very little to do with worldly fortunes and misfortunes.